Welcome back to the Hero's Journey. I am your empowerment guide and fellow superhero, Venus the Goddess. This is Arc 12, Becoming Divine, Aligning with Your Highest Self, an introduction to ACT therapy and a new self love ritual. This is a pre recorded lecture, so please feel free to pause at any time to take a break. Just note the time on the video, that way you don't lose your place. Let's begin. Objective. The objective of this arc is to redefine divinity as authentic self alignment, introduce ACT therapy as a framework for values based living, and to establish the practice of a self worship altar as a tangible commitment to your own sacred standards. What does it mean to be divine? The word divine comes from the Latin divinus, meaning of a god or godlike. Its root reaches back to the Proto Indo European day, meaning to shine or the sky. To be divine is to shine brightly and fully as your authentic, unapologetic, highest self. Divinity is not something that's bestowed upon you, it is something you remember, something you align with. To be divine is to be in alignment with your values, your standards, your truth, and your highest self. The gap between knowing and being. You know what self love is, but knowing is not the same as being. Closing the gap between understanding and embodying self love requires commitment, and commitment requires clarity about what you are committing to. That's where values come into play. ACT therapy, a framework for values based living. Acceptance and commitment therapy, ACT, is an evidence based approach that blends mindfulness, acceptance, and behavioral change. Instead of trying to eliminate difficult thoughts or feelings, ACT teaches you to accept what you cannot control and commit to action that improves your life. The core goal, psychological flexibility. That is the ability to be present, open, and move in valued directions even when you're in pain. The 6 core processes of ACT therapy. 1. Acceptance. That is making room for painful feelings without struggling against them. 2. Cognitive diffusion. That is stepping back from your thoughts. Instead of thinking, I'm a failure, try saying, I notice I'm having the thought that I am a failure. Another way to look at it is you are a book with blank pages. Your thoughts, feelings, and bodily sensations are the words written on the pages. You can rewrite the story. 3. Being present. Mindfulness of the here and now, not lost in the past or the future. You're not worrying about the future. You are not ruminating on the past. Cross bridges if you get to them. Self as context. You are the sky, not the weather passing through. For an example, anger. See anger as just bad weather, or pain as bad weather. It's just a rainy day. You are not the storm, you are the sky, the conscious observer. Remember, we learned in ARC 3, how to be the conscious observer of our own mind. 5, values, your compass. What kind of person do you want to be? 6, committed action. That is taking concrete steps guided by your values. Resistance creates suffering. Stress happens when your mind resists what is. The ACT equation. Suffering equals pain plus resistance. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. It is our attempts to avoid pain that create chronic misery. For an example, consider resistance as trying to swim against the current. Instead of swimming against the current, go with the flow. All right, let's take a brief pause here before moving into the next subject. Please take this time to get a drink of water, sip some tea if you're a tea drinker like myself, stretch your legs, stretch your back. You can also do an impromptu meditation, so practice breathing or simply enjoy the silence. These pauses help for you to absorb and process new information. All right. All right, beloved. Your values are your divine blueprint. Before you can align with your highest self, you must know what that self stands for. Values are the qualities that matter most to you. You don't achieve a value, you live it. A value is a direction, a compass. Here are examples of my personal values: love and beauty, how to live them, speak lovingly to yourself, see the beauty in all things, freedom and independence, make choices that liberate you, not limit or restrict you, truth and discernment, be honest and listen to your inner wisdom, empathy and compassion, choose grace even when it's hard and show yourself the same grace you offer others, justice and karma, enforce your boundaries and allow the natural laws of the universe to take place. So, no vengeance. Pleasure and joy. Schedule time for the things that bring you joy. Strength and courage. Every day, do one thing that scares you a little. Wealth and wellness. Invest in your health and rest when you are tired. Wealth is health. Balance and harmony. Choose careers that honor work life balance. Be peaceable and cultivate harmony within your relationships. Self respect and confidence. Don't accept less than what you deserve and never doubt your worth. Personal development and growth. Read, learn, and reflect. Be teachable and accountable. Intellectualism and creativity. Create something, think critically, and stay curious. Trust and safety. Let others earn your trust and don't give it out for free. Depth and connection. Seek deep meaningful connections with others, not superficial ones. These are my personal values and how I live by them. Feel free to borrow mine, but I want you to create your own. All right. Sacred standards, your boundaries in action. Standards are your values enforced. They are the non negotiable rules you set regarding how you expect to be treated and how you treat others. Remember, roses have thorns. Having clear stated boundaries and standards, they prevent burnout and resentment. No is a complete sentence. They build mutual respect between you and others. They also reduce misunderstandings and help to build healthier relationships. They reinforce your sense of self worth. Every time you hold a boundary, you affirm your value and align with your authentic self. They simplify decision making. Make choices that align with your values. Set your standards high, but not so high that you can't even meet them yourself. You're human, not a mountain goat. A standard can be mutual respect. You respect me, and I respect you. If you don't respect me, I'm not going to disrespect you. I'm going to move from around you because you're not worth my presence. Take a moment to think about your own standards. If you don't have any, create them. Think about boundaries. Think about the ways you can enforce boundaries. All right, let's take another pause before moving into the next subject matter. All right, the self worship altar, ACT therapy made physical. An altar is a physical symbol of your self devotion. It represents your commitment to your values. It is a sacred space where intention becomes action, mirroring the core process of committed action. Let me explain how. The ACT principle. 1. Values. You choose what to place on your altar based on what matters to you. Committed action. You show up daily, weekly to tend your altar. This type of consistency rewires the brain. 3. Being present. Every intentional moment spent at your altar is the practice of mindfulness. And finally, acceptance. The altar holds your offerings, but also your pain, your grief, your hopes. It is a safe space to release what you are no longer able to carry. Building your altar. Where? You can build your altar on a table, a shelf, windowsill, or any flat surface that you can access daily without disturbance. If you like, you can place a cloth over top of the table. A white cloth represents purity and intention, but this is optional. You can adorn your altar, your table, your windowsill, whatever flat surface that you choose with anything that you like a delicate, piece of cloth or whatever. It's yours. What to place on your altar? Place symbols and reminders of your values, self love, and worth. Here are some examples of items that you can place and what they represent. Rose quartz. That is a crystal that represents self love and compassion. Jewelry. Jewelry can represent your self worth and value. Fresh roses. Roses represent boundaries. Remember the rose and the thorn. Perfume or honey. That can represent attraction or sweetness. Remember, love doesn't chase, it attracts. Incense or candles. These items can represent transformation, purification, or holding intention. You can journal. When you journal, you can write your affirmations or things you want to release, and then just leave it on your altar. A cup of water. A cup of water can represent pouring love into yourself. Remember the metaphor or the illustration of pouring into your cup. Pour so much love or water into your cup that it overflows. Love is generous. Next is a mirror. A mirror can represent mirror work. And every time you pass by this mirror or look into this mirror, compliment yourself. Finally, you can place emblems, memorabilia, or any symbol that reminds you that you are a superhero, that reminds you of your power. This is your own personal space. What you decide to place on your altar is personal to you. These are just examples. How to work your altar. Daily, light a candle, set an intention, burn incense, speak an affirmation such as, I am worthy of love. Leave a glass of water that represents pouring love into yourself. Weekly, clean the altar, dust it, refresh offerings, leave fresh roses or flowers. Monthly, journal, meditate on your values, reflect on your progress. The neuroscience. The more you work your altar, the stronger the neural pathways become. Ritual rewires the brain. Repetition builds belief. Your altar is not superstition. You don't have to turn it into something spiritual. It's simply a table with an assortment of items that reminds you of your value, your worth, and your power. It is neuroplasticity made sacred. However, if you are someone that is spiritual, you can make it spiritual. You can pray at your altar if you like. You can meditate at your altar. It is personalized to you. This is a personal ritual, and you make it whatever it is that you want to make it. Okay? Conclusion. Your altar is a mirror. It reflects what you value. It's a physical reminder of who you are becoming. Treat it as an extension of yourself. Tend to it well. You are the temple, the altar, and the sacrifice. Your devotion is to self love. All right, beloved, now it's time for homework. For your homework, I would like for you to make a list of at least 10 values and give actionable examples of how you can align with each. So, the ones that I shared with you in this arc, you know, love and beauty. That is one of those are one of my values. And how I actionably align with them is by speaking lovingly to myself and also choosing to see beauty in all things. I want you to write out 10 of your own values. Again, you can borrow mine or just, create your own and write out examples of how you can personally align with them. Next, I want you to set your personal standards and practice enforcing your boundaries. This week, say no. Lastly, I want you to create a self worship altar and commit to working it daily. This homework assignment is due 1 week from the completion of this video. Remember, homework assignments do not need to be submitted. They're not, anything that will be graded. They're simply for your own personal practice to help you progress along your hero's uh, journey. Okay? All right, credits. The research for this presentation was conducted using a variety of sources, including authoritative books, scientific publications, and AI-assisted research tools used to synthesize and verify complex information. If you would like to learn more about any of the subjects presented, I encourage you to do your own research. This presentation contains images and diagrams used under the fair use for educational and commentary purposes within an original work. All visual media are the property of their respective creators. No copyright infringement is intended. Now, last but not least, I do offer private sessions. So if you would like to book a virtual one-on-one mentoring session with me, you can email me at thethegoddessxx@gmail.com. Sessions are 60 minutes at a rate of $150 per hour. Voluntary offerings. If you would like to donate to this channel, my Cash App is the Goddess XX. All right, that concludes um, ARC 12. I hope you found it encouraging and informative. As always, I love you and have a beautiful, amazing, extraordinary, epic, legendary, I don't know, magnificent. I'm trying to think of as many words as I possibly can. Have a beautiful, peaceful, loving, amazing, terrific, splendid, superb day. All right? Until next time. Bye.